and welcome to Power of Parks, where we share inspiring stories from people who have benefited from nature, parks, and recreation. In honor of May as Mental Health Awareness Month, my guest today is Dr. Shayna Ginsburg. She's the Chief of Clinical Services, Education, and Training for the Palm Beach County Youth Services Department. Shayna joins us via Zoom to talk about the Get Your Green On campaign, the importance of mental health, and the ways in which visiting parks and spending time in nature can help contribute to better mental health. Welcome, Shayna.
Hi, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, tell me about the Get Your Green On campaign and why we're observing Mental Health Awareness Month and Trauma Informed Care Month.
Yeah, so each year, Mental Health Awareness Month is observed during the month of May by really reaching millions of people through media and local events, a lot of virtual events this year, I imagine. And the goal is really to educate the public, to fight stigma associated with mental health, and to provide support and advocate for policies that support people with mental health concerns and also their families. So the Get Your Green On campaign is part of Mental Health Awareness Month. And the campaign really aims to raise awareness by wearing green to create visible support and to foster safe spaces to talk openly about mental health and trauma. This year, it falls on Thursday, May 20th. So all of Palm Beach County is invited and encouraged to wear green on that day to support Mental Health Awareness Month and Trauma Informed Care Month. And so really just on that day, wear your green and take some photos with your coworkers in masks, of course. You get a green mask for the day. Take some, screenshots of Zoom meetings or even just selfies to post on social media to show your support.
So, what mental health concerns have you seen, especially in the past year during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so the COVID-19 pandemic has been extremely stressful for many people, for all people, I imagine. And during this time, we've experienced just such drastic life changes, facing just real threats to physical safety, abrupt changes to routines and schedules and just social distancing from everyone around us. So feelings have run the gamut: fear, anxiety, confusion, impatience, irritability, and powerlessness. And people have experienced these just in varying degrees and at different times, waxing and waning over the past year. So what we've seen is that during the pandemic, about 4 in 10 adults in the United States have reported symptoms of anxiety and depression. And that's compared with 1 in 10 prior to the pandemic. So there really has been an increase in anxiety and depression symptoms. And there's a lot of other negative impacts that we've seen on mental health and well-being, like difficulty sleeping or eating, a lot of increases in alcohol consumption or substance use, and even worsening chronic conditions just due to worry and stress over the coronavirus.
It sounds like there's been a huge impact on just our mental health and the symptoms that are associated with anxiety, like you said, trouble sleeping, loss of appetite, things like that.
Exactly. It's all interrelated.
Tell us why we should care, especially now that these issues are worsening. Why should we care not only as individuals but as a community?
Sure. So, humans are social beings and we're not meant to live in isolation. So, community is critical for us to thrive, especially for someone with mental illness as well, who may be already experiencing common symptoms of loneliness and isolation. So, community can really provide so many beneficial elements that are critical to our mental health. Just a sense of belonging, a sense of support, a sense of purpose. So because of these staggering mental health statistics out there, communities can change those statistics. They can, help to promote awareness by having these events like Get Your Green On, to raise that awareness and reduce stigma just overall and teach people about behavioral health and trauma-informed care and increase access to care.
And can you talk about some stressors and some common issues that the different age groups are facing? So, youth, adults, the elderly.
Sure. So, throughout the pandemic, of course, we've seen a lot of anxiety, depression, the sleep disruptions, even thoughts of suicide, and it's really increased for many young adults. They've also experienced a number of those pandemic related consequences, like closures of universities and transitions to remote work, loss of income, loss of employment, and those things have contributed to mental health concerns as well. We also, know that research from prior economic downturns shows that job loss is associated with increases in depression, anxiety, distress, low self-esteem, and can lead to higher rates of substance use disorders. So during this pandemic, adults in households with job loss or lower incomes have reported higher rates of worry or stress. And that has in turn caused them to experience at least one adverse effect on their mental health and well being, like difficulties sleeping or eating, and the substance use that I've mentioned, and the chronic conditions. We have seen that. Also, research during this pandemic has pointed to concerns around mental health and well-being for children and their parents, as many have experienced challenges with school closures and also lack of childcare, that's led to major disruptions and changes to daily routines. Women and children are more likely to report symptoms of anxiety or depression than men, but still both men and women have reported these symptoms. And then as far as the elderly, they've experienced loneliness and social isolation. There have been a lot of adverse effects from the pandemic, including health complications, higher mortality. We've seen concerns about disruptions to their daily routines and access to care. And in particular, a difficulty adapting to technologies like telemedicine and telemental health has been a challenge. So it's really had an effect on all populations.
The good thing is there is hope. There's hope for people who are struggling with these issues. And there are certain things we can all do to improve our mental health, and one of them is being in nature. Can you talk a little about what role does nature play in helping to relieve some of these mental health concerns and alleviate some of these stressors?
Absolutely. There is a growing body of research that shows that time in nature, or what they're terming green time, is really good for our mental health. So there seems to be a really strong connection between the time that one is spending in nature and reduction of stress, anxiety, depression, and even inattention. So what we're seeing is time in green spaces, or these natural spaces, significantly reduces cortisol levels. So cortisol is the body's main stress hormone, probably best known for helping fuel your body's fight or flight instinct in a crisis. So nature can reduce those levels. Also, we know that nature boosts endorphin levels and dopamine production, and these chemicals promote happiness. Just the calming nature sounds, or even outdoor silence, has been shown to lower blood pressure and stress levels, and this calms the body's fight or flight response. Then we have just the visual aspects of nature, which can also have a soothing effect. So having something pleasant to focus on distracts your mind from negative thinking. So your thoughts become less filled with worry or sadness. There was a research study. It's pretty famous, out of Stanford University, and they took a group of people and then divided them into two groups, and they had each group walk for 90 minutes. One was in a natural environment, and one was in an urban setting. And the researchers found these marked changes in the brain, that the neural activity in an area of the brain that's active during rumination, or when you're just repetitively focused on negative emotions, that this area actually decreased among the participants who walked in nature versus those that were in the urban environment. So I get excited when I read these research studies, because it's like science is confirming that you should stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, no, I like that you went through all the different senses. Like you're seeing these things, you're smelling the fresh air, you're hearing the sounds of the birds, and I think it's helpful to even know the science behind it too, so we understand it better.
Exactly. It's like intuitively, if you're having a bad day, like, I need to go for a walk. I need to get some fresh air, but like there is science behind that as well. So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and another aspect is that spending time in parks allows people to stay active. You can walk, bike, jog. So, can you talk about how physical activity contributes to better mental wellness?
Yes, absolutely. There's also a ton of research that supports physical activity and how that does contribute to better mental wellness. So, for one, physical activity we know is good for your body, but it's also really good for your mind. It can help just build intelligence and strengthen your memory and just boost brain power in a number of ways. Being active also releases chemicals in your brain that make you feel good. So, exercise is a scientifically proven mood booster, really decreasing depression and anxiety symptoms. And physical activity kicks up those endorphin levels. So just produces those feelings of happiness and euphoria for us. And while it also can then lead to reducing our stress levels, which I mentioned before. So increasing your heart rate can actually reverse stress-induced brain damage and can even improve your body's overall ability to respond to stressful situations or any other adverse event that may occur. And then, of course, there's the benefit of exercise helping with sleep. So exercise regulates your circadian rhythm, which is your body's kind of built in alarm clock that controls when you feel tired and when you feel alert. So exercising, as long as it's not too close to bedtime, can actually help you get sleepy when you're supposed to. So you get a good night's rest. And then, just lastly, I'll mention, that exercise can improve your endurance and lead to, losing weight, increasing muscle tone. If you feel like you look better, then you just feel better overall. So it can really improve self-esteem and self-confidence as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits, right? And then lastly, one of the things that we don't really think about as far as being in parks is it really gives you an opportunity to participate in a bunch of different things, hobbies, photography. Our nature centers provide opportunities, for scavenger hunts, geocaching, things like that. And so it's spending time with family and friends, right? And so what about socializing? Especially right now when there's so much social isolation, how does that impact your mental wellness?
Yeah, that's so important to think about because social distancing does not mean social isolation, right? So, of course, while it's still essential to practice physical distancing and following, CDC guidelines to keep ourselves safe and not spread the virus, it's equally important to connect with family and friends and colleagues on a regular basis. We again know from research that just interacting with others has been shown to boost feelings of well-being and decrease feelings of depression. So looking for opportunities to spend time with other people, to share humor and levity in spite of the circumstances, is very important to our mental wellness. So, during this time of physical disengagement, we have to work hard to connect, find other ways to connect with people around us. And we're so lucky to live in a place like South Florida where we can be outside all year round and the outdoor activities are plentiful. You mentioned some of them, photography, bike riding is one, just running, swimming, kayaking, fishing, walking on the beach. It's endless how many activities we have at our disposal 12 months out of the year.
Awesome. And have you yourself participated in any of these activities? Any personal anecdotes you'd like to share? Your favorite park?
Sure, yeah. So I happen to live near Green Cay and also Wakota. So we go there on occasion. My partner loves photography and is always taking pictures of birds and other plants and things like that there. So I get to see all those photos. Love bike riding, especially I have two young kids. So it's just a great like family activity to bike ride outside and we go have picnics, outside, which is something we didn't do as much pre-pandemic, but it just became something that, we started doing and we still do. And of course, there's because I have a 5 and a 7-year-old climbing trees and taught them how to skip stones and different things like that has been fun outside. So yeah, those are some things I've done in our big outdoors here in Palm Beach County.
And those are great locations. Thank you so much for that. Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to make sure that the listeners are aware that the Youth Services Department offers free mental health services to anyone with youth between the ages of 0 up to 22. So if you are experiencing any mental health concerns, please make sure you reach out to the Youth Services Department. We can be reached at 233-4460, or you can look us up on the web.
All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.